Hey, hey, good morning.
Morning, how are you?
I'm terrific. How are you?
Good, good. So,
Oh, I can hear you really nice.
I was going to say, because last week it was kind of weak.
Weak is a strong word. It was, but the volume was low. I couldn't hear you too well.
So here's what happened.
What'd you do different? Just talking louder?
No, but I had a lot of calls from people that watched the last episode, and they watched most of the episodes anyway. And they said that my volume was down. Yours was good, but mine was down. And they said that was the best episode ever.
I bet my buddy Ron was one of those calls. Hey, so exciting news. Before we get going here, just some exciting news today about one of our sponsors.
Whoa, hey, wait a minute! I got to get the readers here.
Happy birthday, lady.
Today's a birthday.
How
Wow,
fun.
that's awesome.
Make sure you text her a happy birthday.
Yeah, that's
Got
awesome.
a bunch of secrets going on. Wow.
So I
What's
went to see,
new?
I went to see Peter Frampton the other night.
Oh, you know what? You sent me those photos. That was Sunday night, wasn't it? July 2nd.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I was at a concert myself. Let's talk about this. How was Frampton?
Well, so he came out. So there's a thing called the Coachman Park. It's right that Clearwater before you go over the bridge to go into Clearwater Beach. And I've seen a lot of good concerts there, but it was just like a field and it's like just folding chairs. There was but now they have one of those venues with the sound things up above and stuff, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
It was awesome. So Peter Frampton comes out and he was walking with a cane.
Really?
Yeah, and he said that he said something about he's going on with some kind of going on with his muscles or something, some kind of thing. He says, but
Hmm.
the tour is called Never Say Never because he thought he would never be able to play again anymore. He says, so I've been talking to my doctors and stuff, and my leg is not good, but my fingers are really working. So I'm saying, never say never. Wait a minute. So he called his people and said, let's get some shows going on in July here. So he came out and it was awesome, man. What a great show.
Really?
He was sitting down the whole time. They had
Nice. All right.
another guitar player that was next to him that was sitting also as well. And sometimes the keyboard player would come over and play the guitar, so it'd be sitting on chairs in the front, so he wouldn't feel weird. It's just so awesome. He did a lot of those songs from Frampton Comes Alive.
Oh, that's what I'm actually searching for. I'm in Google Images as we speak because it's interesting because I remember seeing Frampton. I never saw him live, but we all remember, and we hear Peter Frampton, at least I do. I think most of us probably do. And this is what I think about when I hear Peter Frampton. We all
Oh
know
yeah,
that
yeah.
one. And then I saw him a few years ago when he first kind of came back on the scene, and it's like I didn't recognize him today.
Yeah, different, right?
You know, it's awesome because these rockers, I think, I mean, when did Frampton Come Alive come out? Frampton Comes Alive. That was an amazing
I
album.
think it
That
was in the '70s
was
or something.
70s. See what you're doing there. Little double branding. But we tend to think, I don't know, that as we're aging and life is happening, all these, rock and roll heroes of ours in the 70s and 80s aren't. And we see them going, oh my gosh, look at this. It's awesome. So
And then he did there was a band that used to be with before that I can't think of the name of the
really,
band now.
Frampton was in a band before he went solo. I didn't
Yeah,
know
yeah,
that.
yeah. It's a well-known band. I just can't think of it right now, but it'll come to me. And so he played some of those songs from that. It was awesome.
Old stuff.
So my friend Tom Toscano called me up. He says, "Hey, have you seen the new sound? That's what they call the sound at Coachman Park." I says, "Yeah, I was there the other day and I looked at it. I saw it. It looks cool." He says, "Well, we have two tickets waiting for you over there because his wife works for the Chamber of Commerce in Clearwater,
Mm-hmm.
So she got some tickets and stuff, nice passes and stuff,
Nice.
really cool. And
That's awesome.
the show was unbelievable. It was amazing.
How long did he play for?
I think it was like 2.5 hours or something.
Oh my God. I thought you were gonna say an hour and a half,
No,
maybe.
no. It was just that there's nobody else. It was just him and his band. The bass player was a lady that was really, really good. The drummer was really good. I mean, really, really good. And Peter Frampton just plays the guitar. He still plays it so well. He started doing that thing with the voice box thing
Oh yeah.
in the
Oh, of
70s.
course. I mean,
Oh yeah, amazing, yeah.
yeah. He was one of the ones who kind of made that somewhat famous.
Oh, I know, yeah. It was a good show.
That's awesome. We were rehearsing yesterday, Still Face, the instrumental band, and
Yeah,
somehow that little tube, what do they call it? The voice box tube thing. I've seen Nuno do it once or twice. Came up like it's next to the microphone, and not that we have a microphone, we're an instrumental band, but it kind of gets into the side of your mouth, and I guess you can speak or somehow controls to your guitar. Everybody knows Frampton did it, and that was the famous one.
yeah.
Um, but I was joking with Marco, like, hey, we could do that as an instrumental band, and you could actually get like lead vocal credits. And he started laughing. So that was funny because you texted me. That was last Sunday, July 2nd. So July 4th weekend up here, it was, Saturday was the first, and it was a nice day. And then it rained Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, the 4th, just rain and rain and rain. We were going out to Tanglewood, which is this beautiful outdoor, well, they call it the Shed, out in the Berkshires, out in Lenox, Massachusetts. And for me, Tanglewood was always famous for like the Boston Symphony Orchestra would go play there, and James Taylor has a house out there, and he always plays there July 4th or 2 nights, July 3rd, July 4th.
Yeah.
That's all I ever really knew. Turns out they have concerts there. So a few weeks ago, we talked about this. Lynn and I, with Ron and Lisa, our faithful listeners, went to see Steve Miller Band, and we're out in the lawn seats. So they call it the Shed, but it's this big, almost like baseball field shaped amphitheater with the stage and thousands of seats under this roof. And then behind it, there's hundreds of acres. It's like golf course grass, beautiful trees, and you can buy lawn seats, short money, and you can bring in your own coolers of drinks and alcohol and food, anything you want. And it's just amazing. So we were going back last Sunday to see Robert Plant and Alison Krauss.
Oh, yeah, yeah. How was that?
It was amazing. And so if anybody's listening to this and they don't know, so Alison Krauss and Robert Plant put out a very folky, cool album in '07. It was incredible. And they followed up
Yeah.
with another one recently, 2021, something like that. And I was really psyched. And we had these new lawn chairs that Lynn and I was so excited about. We got there somewhat early because we're in the lawn seats, but we're kind of right behind and up on the back of the shed facing the hundreds of acres is a big screen. And so we were like right there. And the sound was incredible. And my anticipation was big because I grew up as a rock and roll kid in the '70s, and Zeppelin was everything for me. And here's going to be Robert Plant. And as a drummer, I mean, John Bonham was everything for me and still is, top of the top. And I'm going to be seeing Robert Plant live. And I was trying to like temper my excitement because I said to Lynn, there's no way they're going to do any Zeppelin songs. I mean, they got to be true to what their new stuff is.
Yeah.
And she looks at me, she says, of course they're going to do Zeppelin. What are you talking about? And I'm like, I used to try to keep my anticipation level down. Well, they did. Well, first they came out and I'm watching the screen. I actually got some video. Pretty big band up there. And then he comes out from one side and she comes out from the other. And they obviously just have this wonderful friendship because they kind of walk up to each other and hold hands, and he kind of kisses her on the cheek. And they're already into the first song, which you'd recognize like that, forget the name. And they just jumped into it. And man, vocally, I mean, she opens her mouth and it's just like an angel. She's incredible. But Robert Plant has this voice that still sounds unbelievable. I'm not sure what he's 77, 78 years old, something like that. First of all, he comes out with these black leather pants, and he's got this red shirt that's buttoned down, untucked, long sleeve, and he's got some of the hair pulled back and long over his shoulders. And he just looks incredible. And then he sings, and it's like, oh my God, this guy sounds amazing.
Yeah, and that's something
And it
else.
was awesome. It was amazing. And then it was overcast. It had been raining, then it wasn't. There was a little bit of drizzle. Nobody cared. Um, at one point, there was more than drizzle, and all the umbrellas start coming up off everybody's seats. And I'm like, what do I care? I'm sitting in this chair. I'm getting some summer rain on me, which was nice and refreshing. Robert Plant is singing directly to me, and it's raining, and I'm like, this is awesome. It's probably the most rain we had was walking back to the car when it was done. But they jumped into this kind of Johnny B. Good feel bluesy thing that just everybody would recognize, and it's 1,000 songs. And then he turned it into rock and roll. And all of a sudden he starts singing, it's been a long time since I rock and roll.
Wow.
And I look at Lynn, I'm like, oh my God, we're hearing rock and roll by Robert Plant. And then they went on to do the Gallows Pole from Zeppelin 3. And then they did When the Levee Breaks. They finished with like a 12-minute version of When the Levee Breaks with this real folk band behind them. It was amazing.
That's nice.
And Alison Krauss, they also did the Battle of Evermore off of the fourth album. And that female vocal on it.
Yeah.
Done by Alison Krauss. It was incredible.
Wow.
And it was a bucket list, it was a dream come true. It wasn't really a bucket list to go see them, but it was incredible. The bucket list for me is Robert Plant has a band called the Band of Joy, and they're doing all folk versions of all Zeppelin. And that's a bucket list. So a year and a bit ago, my two bucket list albums were Paul McCartney, which we did last June 7th at Fenway, just a year ago. And then Robert Plant and the Band of Joy. And all I can do is hope, right? Hope and pray, because all of our heroes are aging with us. And we hope the best. Ringo Starr just had a birthday, turned 83, I believe.
Yeah.
Wow. Pretty amazing. Yeah. Amazing stuff.
So Peter Frampton's band that he was with is Humble Pie.
Yes, I knew that.
Yeah, it just came to me. See what I mean?
You're good like that. It's that coffee. You got extra high test in your coffee today, or you must have eaten your Wheaties or something.
I got to tell you something. The other day I was at Starbucks with my buddy having a coffee. That's so crazy for me to even say this because I don't even know how to explain it. There was a guy sitting there drinking his coffee, didn't have a cell phone, didn't have a laptop, didn't have a tablet, just sitting there drinking coffee like a jerk. What's the matter with this guy?
I'm surprised that's not allowed, Ashley, is it? Don't they have some sort of guidelines?
Everybody was looking at him like saying, what the heck's going on with him? I said, I don't know. He must be sick or something. I have no idea.
I'd be calling the manager. Can we get this guy kicked out of here, please? This guy's taking up a table drinking coffee.
No shit, yeah.
I'm here with my laptop to design this website for the next 7 hours. And this guy's taking up space drinking coffee. Get him out of here.
So not to brag, but last month I actually lost.
Good month. I had a good month last month also.
I lost 20 pounds last month.
You lost what?
20 pounds.
20 pounds.
Yeah, I have two 10-pound dumbbells. I can't find them anywhere. I don't know where I lost them.
They're under the bed next to the block you pull out to walk around.
Oh man, that's great.
July 4th, I got a good friend of mine, Carol. She lives just a couple of towns from me, and she has a July 4th party. Every July 4th. That sounds ridiculous, but it was raining all day. But this is a big party. She puts up like a gigantic tent. I mean, with the rain that was happening, she still had 70 people at her house. They have this big field. Everybody goes and parks in the field, and they have barbecuing and, I mean, appetizers under the thing and beverages. And I got a couple of friends who I only see once a year at Carol's party, which is kind of fun. So we went to that, and we're under this tent, like a big circus type tent. And it's pouring rain, and you get food right over here and friends, and it was awesome. And as the day kind of progressed, it started to kind of clear up. So by the time the grill was lit for like the meal up on the deck, rain was done. and we're looking west from this deck because our whole field drops off gorgeous property, and you can see the sky out there brightening. It's 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and Lynn and I had tickets to go west to Worcester to the Worcester Red Sox game that started at 6:45 that night. So we got to the stadium and the sun was out, and it was like finally after this long holiday weekend of rain, here's the sun. And because it was the 4th of July after the game, which they won with a nice comeback, it was a fireworks display, and it was an awesome wrap up to the long weekend. It was great.
So talking about Brampton and these old
Humble Pie. There's
Sometimes
a couple songs we must know.
Sometimes when you see these older musicians that have been doing it for a long time, they still do it and they still do well.
Yeah.
To me, it's a big deal. So you like to listen to orchestras?
Yeah.
Symphonies or whatever you call it. So this one guy was number one. What do you call those guys that composer, whatever the guys that
conductor.
Conductor. So he was the number one conductor in the world. And he went to do this last show. So he brought in the best musicians of all from everywhere to do his final show to be the best ever. So he's doing a thing like a little while later. He's looking around. There's two of the violin players were like, hitting each other and stuff, and he's trying to not recognize it to see if they'd stop, but they would. So that's why he says, "Hey," he stopped everybody. He says, "What are you guys doing? This is my last show, and you guys over there." He says, one of the violin players says, "Well, he untuned one of my strings, and he won't tell me which one it is."
He needs your old friend over who ran that little music store in Hudson years ago to come tune that one tuning peg for him.
Actually, I don't know if you know that he was a composer or conductor.
Really?
Yeah.
What was his first name?
Ezekiel.
So the guy, what'd they call him? He had a nickname. I never met him, but I know some of the stories.
Well, the guy from the Mr. C's
Jim
music store.
Yeah.
I was there one day, and he says, "Hey, man, haven't seen you around here."
Jim Clement, I think, is his name. I knew Jim years ago. What a neat guy.
Yeah. So he says, "You from around here?" I says, "Well, I from Hudson, but I live in Florida." He goes, "Oh, from Hudson." He says, "You Portuguese?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You know the Bencours?" I says, "Yeah, they're good friends. I've known them since I was a little kid, and I used to spend days and days and days for a couple of years at their house." He says, "So you know Zeke the Beak?" I said, "Huh?" His name was Ezekiel, but he had a big nose, so they call him Zeke the Beak. And he's the one who first told me this. Is that effing guy, he tunes pianos without a pitchfork. He says that's crazy. Nobody can do that. He's got perfect pitch. At the time, I didn't really understand what that was, but then I've seen other people that can do it.
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't know what that is, like me, but I can't define it. But I know it's really special and really rare. So Zeke had perfect pitch.
Yeah.
I thought he also went on to have 10 kids who are all pretty musically talented. We'll just leave it there, right? I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, sometimes I see guys on stage afraid they'll be playing a song and they're singing, and all of a sudden they tweak the G string just a little bit. They're not looking at a tuner or nothing like that. They're just doing it. I'm like, how do you hear that? It's crazy.
All right, so can you tell that story? Because I just referenced him. So you were a young kid. Was this Louis who you had the soccer thing finish up? And was it Louis who put the things in the hat, or was that Robert?
Louis.
So can you tell that story? Because I love this.
So
because you were a young kid, right?
Yeah, I played soccer for years, like 10 years or something. And then there was one season that two brothers showed up and they were playing soccer with us. And they were really good soccer players, and they just came from the Azores. And so what I found really interesting is they're good players, but nice kids. But the thing I found that was interesting to me was that they were speaking perfect English, and they just came over from the Azores. I thought that's kind of crazy. So then when the last game was over, we're sitting there, and I says to the guys, there were like 4 or 5 of us sitting around. He goes, "What are we gonna do now? There's no soccer now." And Louis said, "Somebody give me a piece of paper and a pen." So George Braga went to his car and got a piece of paper and a pen. And he's writing some stuff down, and then he's like ripping it up, and he's crumbling it. He had 15 that he wrote, and he says, he asked Tony Shepard, "Give me a hat." So he had a baseball cap. He he put it on there. He says, "Okay, grab one." So I grabbed one.
There's 5 of you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I opened up the paper and it said rhythm. Okay, whatever.
That's a hard word for a kid learning English, by the way.
And then
You knew.
Tony Shaves said drums. George Braga said bass. My cousin John Laura had keyboards, and George Betancourt said
George,
right. So
George said what? Lead or vocals?
lead. So I said, what's this? He goes, you guys gonna start a band? I says, how are we gonna start a band? We don't know anything. We don't have any instruments. We don't know how to play. He says, don't worry about it. I'm gonna teach you. I says, oh yeah, how do you know how to teach us? You know, like I didn't know he was a musician, right? So he says, listen.
And you were how old? You were 15, 16 years old?
I think I was about 16, maybe 17. So he says,
and Louis was a little older than you, or
no, he's my age.
Okay. Oh.
But he said, I've been playing professionally since I was 7 years old at the in the island of Stata, and I played at the Air Force Base, the American Air Force Base, there all the time. So I know how to. Don't worry about it. I know how to do this.
I'll teach you, Louis Betancourt. I love it.
We go up to the Pushers Club, to the old building, and I went up to the 3rd floor, and he had a small room there with all the equipment set up, because he had a band. I didn't know this, you know. I only knew him from soccer. So he says, okay. He grabs a guitar and he puts it on my shoulders and says, okay, put your finger here on this string and this thing and this string and that thing there. That's a C chord. I says, okay, whatever. So I'm trying to do that. And so, but, you know, and I try to strum it, but my strings were actually muting the other. My fingers were muting the other strings, because so you have to just hit the ones that you have to hit.
Yeah.
And so they said, okay, so do that. And then he did the same thing with George Braga. He went to the bass and he showed him how to do a couple of things, a couple of notes. Then he told Tony Shaves, my friend, to do the drums, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or whatever. With the drum.
Bass drum on 1 and 3, snare on 2 and 4. Yeah.
Yeah. And then George already played the guitar, so you know I didn't know that they played. I just knew him from playing soccer.
Right.
So now we're doing this for a long time. I don't know how long. I'm thinking probably 45 minutes or something. I'm not sure, but my fingers were killing me, because you know when you're not used to doing that, it's crazy. It's just.
Well, it's like me. If I grab a guitar and try to play a few chords, it hurts.
So then he showed us 4 chords: G, D, A minor, and C. So then after a while, he showed us, okay, you guys, I'm going to tell you when to move. So he says, do this, do the G chord.
He's pointing at everybody.
And he says, when I go like this, you go to the D. And then when I do it again, you go to the A minor, and then go to the G, D, and then go C. You know, so we're doing that. So we're moving, you know, making changes. And he says, yeah, keep going. You guys are doing well. Keep going, right? You know, we're all hurt, you know, hurting and stuff. And all of a sudden he starts singing, knocking on heaven's door. And we literally stopped.
Right. Like that's music. I know this song.
He says, what are you stopping for? He says, because we're playing a song. He goes, yeah, we'll keep going. So we were thinking that, and we got that. Then eventually he showed us how to play 5 songs. So here's the deal. This is so cool. He used to play at the Portuguese Club with his band. He had a band called Venus 5, and at the time I didn't know that he was in the band. But
Venus 5, that's a cool name.
So he knew a lot of musicians when he came from the age where he knew musicians around. But he took 4 other guys that he knew, and he started a band with them called Venus 5, and none of them knew how to play. So he, you know, whatever. So that's how he did it. So he says, when we play the next gig over here, you guys are going to play 3 songs during our first break, right? So one of the songs that we learned was Jumpin' Jack Flash.
Sure.
And then the intro, I was supposed to do the intro on the guitar, dun, 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 you know, whatever. And then after the 3 times, the guys are supposed to jump in and we're going to play. But just about everybody that was at that hall knew us, you know, all the kids, you know, it was just all local people that we knew, all Portuguese people and stuff. So he had the stage lights, and he went over to the hall, and he shut the lights off at the hall, and he shut off the stage lights were off, you know, because he had the spotlights on the stage, whatever.
Yeah, the atmosphere for the audience, dark stage. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was supposed to start the intro.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, but I'm not doing anything because I can't see the guitar. So he comes over and he says, what the F are you doing? I says, I can't see the guitar. He goes, what? So he put my hand where I'm supposed to be. I says, yeah, but I can't see the other chords either. What am I going to do? He goes, oh my God. So he goes over and he takes one of those stage lights, just one, and lit one up enough so I can see it. And I did the 3 things, the 3 interesting enough, the band came in, and then somebody turned the lights on in the hall. And you would think that we were like Rush or somebody, that the people were all like all excited, because we're kids, 17 years old, and they all knew us, and we knew all of them. It was just so cool.
And you played 3 songs. This was, if I recall, Deep Freeze.
That was Deep Freeze, yeah.
Deep Freeze was the name of the band. You sent me a picture. That's so funny. And you played 3 songs. And did you guys continue as a band?
Yeah, we played for about 3 years or so, and then I got married and stuff, and then.
And so you're 16 or 17. Louis was a 16 or 17. Yeah. Is Robert older than Louis?
Yeah.
Okay. So what I keep thinking here, because we all know the name Nuno, but Nuno is the youngest of 10 in this family. So there he is right there. And so you got this thing going, Deep Freeze, you're 16. Nuno is like a little kid.
He was 8 years old.
Too young to be in your band.
Oh yeah, it was when I used to be at his house every day, because in the morning I was dating his sister.
Sure.
And I used to hang around with the guys, and we played soccer with him. And so he was a little kid. He was really cute, and I loved that kid. It was amazing. And he'd go over to the kitchen, and he'd take his pots and pans from the cabinets.
Yeah.
And he'd start playing drums on the pots and pans. Right. It was just so cool, man. The kid was amazing. I've always loved him. I still do.
It is amazing, and he's a good drummer. And it is amazing. But I keep thinking about, like today, he's one of the most virtuoso guitarists in the world. He's on the cover of every magazine with the new album. There's all sorts of stuff happening. But what was modeled for him as normal in his house was music all the time. And I think I heard him talk about this, but with 9 older brothers and sisters at different age groups and listening to different music, what was exposed to him was just vast, everything. And that was what was modeled. You play an instrument and you play in a band.
So
that's all he ever knew. And look at him now. That's crazy. Cool story.
I might have told you this before, but before they came over, the kids, Mr. Betancourt came over first. And he had a little music store.
That's what I was talking about.
Hudson, yeah. So I used to go there because he'd tell me all these stories. He'd talk to me. I never bought anything. I was just a kid, I don't know, 14 years old, whatever. I just loved to listen to him, the way he talked and the way he told me stories and stuff. He always treated me like I was a special person or something. I just loved the guy.
Well, there's a lesson there, because if we just treat everybody in our world and our lives like they are a special person, number one, because it's true, it's powerful. It's an influence, and people won't forget that. But the story I was getting at, which I thought was amazing, and I don't know if this was still Deep Freeze, but tell me about the band. It seemed like it was a little bit later, and Zeke showed up and walked in.
Yeah, so
was that still Deep Freeze?
Yeah, that was the only band that I played for. There was Deep Freeze. So he walked into we're in the practice room.
And so you got a five-piece band: guitars, bass, drums, the whole thing.
Yeah, and we're all playing. We're playing not totally loud, but we're playing. And he walks in, and we saw him. So I waved a little bit. And he's look. So all of a sudden, he walks towards me.
And he's listening to a band. He's listening to 5 instruments.
Yeah. And he walked up to my guitar, and he took one of the strings, and he tweaked it just a little bit, and he goes like this. And I'm thinking, this guy's crazy. What's going on here? I had no idea that he had the ability to hear that.
Perfect pitch.
5 instruments were going. There's 2 guitars.
Right.
And 1 string out of the 6 was a little bit tweaked, and he tweaked it just a little bit, and he goes like this. And I'm like, what the heck?
That's amazing to me.
I told that story to the guy at Mr. C's Guitars.
Yeah.
Mr. C's Jim. He says, yeah, well, he's got perfect pitch. He tunes pianos without a tuner, without a pitchfork or nothing. I'm like, what the heck?
Mr. C, that's so funny. I got 2 different directions I want to go here, but Mr. C's, Jim, what a nice guy. So years and years ago, as you remember, I was Michael the Meat Man running around my home delivery steak and seafood company. And Jim at Mr. C's bought some food from me. And so I was in there fairly regularly. Yeah. And I wasn't a drummer at the time, but I had played drums in the past, and I never stopped. I know I'm drinking from the wrong mug, but I got a special connection with this one because it usually matches my shirt, but not today. And I hadn't picked up drumming again yet, and I didn't know how big it was going to become a part of my life in the future. But I got to be friendly with some of the guys there. His son Sean, I think, is out in LA now, and he's producing scripts for movies, doing music tracks or soundtracks for movies. And there was another kid there, Barry, who works behind the counter. I got some great drum stories about Greg Bissonette, who's a world-renowned drummer. But I was a big fan of King's X at the time, one of my favorite bands. But one of my other favorite bands came because of going to Mr. C's music, because Barry said to me one day, "Hey, have you heard of this other band? People who like King's X like these guys." I go, "Who is it?" And this is, I'm going to guess this was probably 1995 when this happened, which feels like yesterday. And he says, "It's a band called the Galactic Cowboys." I go, "I'll go check them out." And of course, I checked them out. I love them. I met most of these guys when they were touring. They just came out with a new album. It's just funny when you think about things in your life and you back them to how that happened. Because I was at Mr. C's selling Jim some food, and this guy tells me about this band, and 27 years later, I'm listening to this band. I listen to Monty's podcast. That's a great one, Monty's Rockcast, who was the bass player and the writer of a lot of that stuff. I've seen the band a bunch of times and met some of the guys, and it's a funny thing when you track it back to how things started. Like, how did that happen? All the way back to Deep Freeze. And so Perfect Pitch, you and I often talk about Rick Beato.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun on YouTube. If you haven't heard Rick Beato, I found him, I think the same way you did, just like, what's that series he does about this song is amazing because, and he breaks it up.
What makes a song so great?
What makes a song so great? And then he has other interviews, and his 2-hour interview with Nuno recently was amazing. But he's got this young son, this boy, I don't know, is he 10? And Perfect Pitch. And when you see him explaining Perfect Pitch with his son, who was probably 8 years old at the time, and I think he was just like playing a piano note, and he would tell him what it is, and they'd sing.
He would put both hands on the piano, right? So both hands are hitting notes. And he does that, right? And the kid says, "Oh, that's a C minor ninth with the seventh or something like it." I don't know what and he knows exactly what every single note that the kid's hitting, that the father's hitting. It's amazing.
It really is.
Wow,
it really is.
So
I imagine if you just go, I'm going to do this later, YouTube. I'm just going to search Rick Beato Perfect Pitch. I bet something like that comes up. Staggering.
So when we were doing the selling the food door to door,
I like that.
Some Mike would say when we go to the door, sometimes Mike would say, "This is Tony. He's a gourmet chef from Italy." You'd say that to people. He'd say, "Tony, tell him what's in the chicken pasquale." And I'd say, "Oh, it's good." He'd say, "No, tell him what's in it." I says, "Oh, I don't know, but it's good."
We sold a lot of that. We did, actually. Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah. Crazy.
That feels like 6 or 8 years ago, right?
Wow.
And that was, oh my gosh, that was 90 to 92. So now we're talking about 31 years ago. I keep thinking you've lived in Florida for 10 years.
32 years.
32. It's funny. Time does this funny thing. So I just picked up my glasses to check something on my phone because we talked about something, and I had no idea what I was doing.
Oh, I can't see my phone. I can see your phone from here, so go ahead and do it.
Yeah, let me know what I was going to do here. Yeah. I don't know why I picked it up. I was going to search something that we just talked about. Perfect Pitch, Rick Beato. I don't know. Hey, how's our time doing? We're having some fun. Oh boy, we're about to be canceled by Zoom. Last week we did. Last week we finished on our terms. Our terms, baby. You think we should try it again?
It's pretty much we're almost there.
This has been awesome. I like hearing your old stories, and we got to remember that this is not about us. This is about our viewership, listenership, catering to them, which is why we're commercial free and drug free, and less caffeine. I don't know. But they don't know all these great stories you have about all this stuff.
No,
oh my gosh. We've talked concerts. We've talked the kids. The Azores came in a little bit.
So my friend Joe Cabral from Hudson is down here now.
Joe Cabral, no relation, huh?
No, so I knew him sort of.
How's that possible?
when we were teenagers and stuff, but I didn't really know him that well. Never hung out with him. So one day, one of my friends, who was a real good friend of mine, came to Florida, and he says, "Hey, Joe and I have a condo here in Clearwater. I'm going to go to dinner with him." I says, "Oh yeah." I didn't really couldn't put the faces together. So we went to Clearwater Beach to get something dinner. And I said, "Oh, I know you, Joe." Joe and I started talking, and I just love that couple immediately. Terry, same thing. So
Yeah.
he has a nice condo at a golf course here in Clearwater. And he told me that 3 times or 2 times there was a leak from upstairs, from the bathroom upstairs. And they ruined the ceiling. And one time they had to redo the whole floors. So I said to him, "Hey, so who's watching your condo for?" He says, "Well, we don't have any." Listen, I'm a realtor. I'll be more than glad to go there, every once a month or every 2 weeks, see if everything's cool for you.
Oh, okay. Yep.
So he says, "Oh man, I don't want you to." I said, "No, it's okay. I'm volunteering to do it. I don't want anything from you. I'll just be able to go there and check it out." So I did. And about 3-4 months later, there was one time when I went there, and there was the water coming down from upstairs bathroom. So I called him. He says, "Oh, I haven't heard anything, because usually maintenance would tell him or something." So I went to the maintenance office and told them that. So they went up to the thing and found out that there was a toilet that was overflowing. So this time, because I caught it, all you have to do is just replace the little bit of the ceiling in the bathroom floor, instead of doing the whole floors and all that stuff. So he's easier. He's a good guy. I love him. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. So he's down there now,
Yeah.
staying at his condo, which is right near you, right?
Yeah.
Is he in
So
Clearwater? Where is he?
he's in Clearwater. So I have a friend. I think I told you about Peter Frampton. I'm sorry, Peter Frampton. Peter Grace, who's a guitar player.
I'm like, you're friends with Peter Frampton? That's cool.
No, Peter Grace is a good friend of mine, and the way that we met him, Terry and I were going to dinner at Palm Harbor at the Thirsty Marlin. And there was a bookstore, like a spiritual bookstore over there. And between the building and another building, there's always like 2 stages, and there's tables and chairs and beds would play there. We played there a few times. So drove by that, and there was one guy playing a guitar on the stage, but there's nobody there at all. All the chairs were empty. We're going to go down to the Thirsty Marlin, and I did a U-turn, and Terry says, "What are you doing?" I says, "There's a guy over there playing the guitar, and there's nobody in the audience. This can't be. Let's go." She goes, "Come on."
Let's go.
I says, "No, I got to do this." So I went over there. We went to sit down, and he's playing. He says, "Hey, thank you for stopping in." I said, "Oh, thank you." So he's playing some stuff, and I said, after the song, he says, "So listen, because you guys are the only one here, come up and get my set list, and you tell me which songs you want to hear, because I don't want to play songs that you don't like. Let's play the songs that you like,
Customer service.
He says, "Where are you guys from?" I says, "Well, from Massachusetts." He goes, "Me too." I says, "Oh yeah, where?" He says, "New Bedford." I says, "New Bedford." He goes, "You Portuguese?" He goes, "Yeah." I says, "So am I." He goes, "Come on." Right. So just a real nice guy. We talked for a while. Then my son Josh had an engagement party already set up, and I asked him if he would play there. He says, "Yeah." So he brings the stuff, and he does. So what he does is he does a background he does the bass and the drums, and then he plays the guitar with his own thing. So he knew that I was a guitar player when we talked about that. So he bought an extra guitar for me, and while I played with him at my son's engagement party, and then I played with Peter a few times with his bands and stuff. He's just a cool guy, and I don't know, he's just awesome.
It's so fun.
I took Joe Cabral over there. We went to see him Friday night, and he does this one thing that you would love. I know your friend would love. Joe from California there.
He's coming in this week. Joe's going to be here.
He does this thing where he plays guitar, and he has 4 or 5 ladies that play ukuleles, and then they play regular music. So for the Paul McCartney's birthday, they did a tribute thing where they played all Paul McCartney music all night long with an electric guitar, and there was one guy that came in with a bass, and then the 4 ladies with the ukuleles. It's so awesome.
So one last story, if I can get this in. If not, we'll pick it up next time. Clearwater, when I visited you, we had breakfast. What's the name of that restaurant in Clearwater?
Oh, yeah.
We had breakfast together there.
Lenny's.
What was it called?
Lenny's.
So I was in Florida at the time. This has got to be 3.